The map is the heart of dispatch. It is where you see what is happening, where your people are, and what to watch out for. This is the complete administrator's guide to the TicketsCAD map, every layer, every overlay, every setting, and every alert it can drive. By the end, you will know how to configure all of it. First, where you will meet the map. It is on the dashboard as a draggable widget. It is on every incident, unit, and facility detail page. It fills the full screen situation, or wall, view, and it rides along on the mobile interface. The same map engine powers all of them, so what you learn here applies everywhere. Here is our route, base layers, and the administrator tile providers that add new ones. The default location and zoom every map opens on, weather and radar over your area, and map markups, the shapes you draw with their categories. Then, records that carry coordinates. The new road conditions overlay, hazards, which turn out to be 3 different things, alerts, both worn locations and geofences, and finally a zoom behavior that trips people up. Let us start with the foundation, base layers. Every map sits on a base layer, the imagery underneath everything else. TicketsCAD ships with several, and as an administrator you can add your own. Let us look at what you get out of the box and then how to configure new providers. On the dashboard, open the layer control in the corner of the map. This little panel is where you switch the base layer and toggle overlays. We will use it throughout this video. Up top, you will see 3 base layers. OpenStreetMaps, the familiar street map. USGS Tobo, a topographic map with terrain and contours. And Dark, a low-glare dark base map that is easy on the eyes in a darkened dispatch room. Pick whichever suits the moment. The detail pages on an incident or a unit offer a richer set. Alongside those 3, you get terrain, satellite, and light. So if you want aerial imagery to see a building's roofline, open an incidents map and switch to satellite. The detail map is your deep look view. One subtlety worth knowing, so you are not confused later. The word terrain means different things in different places. On the dashboard, the topographic layer is sourced from USGS. On the detail pages, the layer labeled terrain is drawn from OpenTopomap instead. Both are topographic, they just come from different sources. Same idea, different map maker. Now the administrator side. To add or change base layers, open Config, then Application Presentation, and choose Tile Providers. This is where you tell TicketsCAD which map sources to offer. You are not stuck with the built-in list. You can point at any tile service you have rights to use. Start with the Provider dropdown. Pick a known provider, and TicketsCAD autofills its tile URL for you, the template address it fetches map tiles from. That saves you hunting down the exact format. If your provider is not in the list, you can paste a custom URL template yourself. Many commercial providers require an API key to authorize your usage. There is a dedicated field for it. Paste your key, and TicketsCAD weaves it into the tile requests automatically. Free sources like OpenStreetMaps need no key, paid ones almost always do. As you fill in the URL and the key, watch the live preview map right in the panel. It renders the actual tiles from your settings, so you see exactly what your dispatchers will see before you save anything. If tiles look wrong, you will know immediately. Next to the preview is a Refresh Preview button. Click it, and TicketsCAD actually tries to load a tile from your provider. If the tile loads, you get a success message. If it fails, an authentication problem, a bad URL, a blocked key, you get a clear error instead of a silent blank map. Always refresh the preview before saving. One important limitation. Some providers, Bing among them, address their tiles with a quad key, a special coordinate format written as curly brace Q in the URL. TicketsCAD does not support that quad key format. If you configure a provider that needs it, the map quietly falls back to OpenStreetMaps instead. So a Bing-style quad key source will not display, choose a standard tile provider. Next, where the map starts. When a dispatcher opens TicketsCAD, the map should already be centered on your service area at a sensible zoom, not staring at the middle of the ocean. Let us set that default. Open Config, Application Presentation, then Map Settings. You get a wide 16:9 live preview of the map with a crosshair marking dead center. That crosshair is the heart of this panel. Wherever it points is where every map will open. Setting it is hands-on. Just pan and zoom the preview map to frame your service area, and the latitude, longitude, and zoom fields update in real time to match. Or type exact numbers into the fields, and the preview moves to follow. The map and the numbers stay in sync both directions, so you can work whichever way you prefer. You also pick the default base map here, the layer the map opens on. Frame your area, choose your starting base map, and you are ready to save. When you save, TicketsCAD writes 4 values: the default latitude, the default longitude, the default zoom, and the default map layer. Those 4 become the opening view for everyone who logs in. Here is the scope rule, and it matters. The default location, zoom, and starting layer are a per install setting, one global value for the whole system set by you, the administrator. There is one exception. The base map style a dispatcher picks from the layer control during their shift is renumbered per browser, just for them. So everyone shares one home position, but each person can flip to their preferred look. On top of the base map, you can lay weather. TicketsCAD can show clouds, precipitation, temperature, wind, pressure, and live radar right over your dispatch area, so weather is part of your situational picture, not a separate window. How does it work? TicketsCAD has a weather proxy on the server that fetches and caches the weather tiles for you. Caching means the tiles load fast and you are not hammering the weather service on every map pan. The proxy does the heavy lifting, the map just displays the result. On the dashboard map, open a layer control and look at the overlay section. This is where the weather layers live, separate from the base map underneath. You will find a family of weather overlays: clouds, precipitation, rain, pressure, temperature, wind, snow, and a city weather overlay that drops current conditions labels on towns. Tick the ones you want, they stack on top of the base map. One prerequisite for those weather overlays: they are powered by Open Weather Map, which requires an API key, an OWM key. An administrator enters that key in Settings. Without it, the weather overlays will not draw. Adding the key is a one-time setup, and then clouds, rain, temperature, and the rest all come to life. Radar is special and a favorite for storm work. The NEXRAD radar overlay shows live United States weather radar, the same returns you see on a TV forecast. Toggle it from the layer control and watch precipitation echoes appear over your area. For a fireground or a search in changing weather, this is gold. And here is the good news about radar. NEXRAD does not come from Open Weather Map. It is a separate national radar service and it is always available, no API key required. So even if you have not set up an Open Weather Map key yet, radar still works. It is the one weather layer you get for free. You manage markups under Config, Application Geographic Data, then Map Overlays. This is the administrator's drawing board where every shape and category is created and edited. One thing to understand up front. You draw and edit markups here in Settings. The dashboard map displays them, but the drawing happens in this panel. The full screen situation view also has a fuller drawing panel of its own if you prefer to work there. Now the centerpiece, Map Markups. These are the shapes you draw on the map yourself: staging areas, perimeters, hazard zones, routes, the local knowledge that turns a generic map into your operational map. And they are organized into categories you can toggle on and off. This is the richest part of the map, so we will take our time. You manage markups under Config, Application Geographic Data, then Map Overlays. This is the administrator's drawing board. Important to understand up front, you draw and edit markups here in Settings. The dashboard map displays them, but the drawing happens in this panel. The full screen situation view also has a fuller drawing panel of its own. You have 4 drawing tools: a polygon, for an area with any shape, a search grid, or a perimeter; a circle, for a radius around a point, an evacuation ring; a line, for a route or a boundary; and a marker, a single pin for a spot that matters. 4 tools cover almost anything you need to draw. The workflow is the same for all 4. First, pick the category the shape belongs to. We will look at categories in a second. Then draw it on the map, clicking points for a polygon or line, dragging out a circle. Then give it a name. Pick a category, draw, name it. That is the whole rhythm. Categories are how you keep markups organized. Each category carries a color, so all your hazard zones might be red and your staging areas blue. It carries an icon. And it has a default visible setting, deciding whether that category shows automatically when the map opens or stays hidden until someone turns it on. And here is the payoff. Each category becomes its own toggleable overlay on the map. So, in the layer control, your dispatchers can show or hide hazards, staging, perimeters, or routes independently. Drowning in too much detail? Turn off the categories you do not need right now. Categories give you a clean, layered map. Now, a question a beta tester asked, can I bring my markups in and out as map files? Yes. You can export your markups to GeoJSON, to KML, or to GPX. And you can import markups from GeoJSON, from KML, and from KMZ, which is just a zipped KML. So if you already have boundaries or zones in a mapping tool, you can load them straight in and share yours out. In the panel, you will find the export menu offering GeoJSON, KML, and GPX. Exporting downloads a file you can open in Google Earth or hand to another agency. And the import dialog accepts GeoJSON, KML, and KMZ files. Importing reads a file and turns its shapes into markups in a category you choose. So an outside boundary becomes your boundary in a couple of clicks. Here is an exported KML opened in Google Earth, just to prove the round trip. The shapes you drew in TicketsCAD show up exactly where you placed them. That is the value of standard formats, your operational map is portable, and it speaks the same language as every other mapping tool. 2 caveats on these formats, so nothing surprises you. First, GPX is export only. You can save your markups out to a GPX file for a handheld GPS unit perhaps, but TicketsCAD does not read GPX back in. For import, stick with GeoJSON, KML, or KMZ. Second, circles and KML. The KML format has no true circle, so when you export a circle to KML and read it back, it comes in as a 64-sided polygon, a many-sided shape that looks round but is not a real circle anymore. If you need circles to stay perfect circles through an export and import, use GeoJSON, which preserves them faithfully. Markups are shapes you draw. But your records, your people, units, and places also live on the map by their coordinates. And those coordinates travel with the data when you import and export comma-separated value files. Let us see how that works. This is a different page from the Markups panel. Open the Import and Export page from the main menu. This is where you move whole tables of records in and out as CSV files, the spreadsheet format every tool understands. It is how you load a roster or back up your facilities. The key point for the map, these CSV files carry latitude and longitude. For members, responders, facilities, and vehicles, the import and export both include the lat-long columns. So when you export your facilities, their map positions come along, and when you import them, they land in the right place on the map. One difference to know: incidents are export only when it comes to this CSV flow. You can export incidents, coordinates included, for reporting or archiving. But you create incidents through the dispatch workflow, not by importing a spreadsheet of them. So, import members, responders, facilities, and vehicles, export incidents. And the big one. CSV import does not geocode. That means if a row has only a street address and no coordinates, TicketsCAD will not look up the lat-long for you on import. The coordinates have to already be in the file. So before importing, make sure your spreadsheet has real latitude and longitude columns filled in, or those records will not appear on the map. Here is a brand new capability, a road conditions overlay. Closed roads, washouts, ice, downed trees, the things that decide which way your units can actually get there. You enter them once and they appear right on the dispatch map. You manage them under Config, Application Geographic Data, then Road Conditions. This is a full editor, add a road condition, edit one, or remove it when the road reopens. Each entry describes a spot and what is wrong with it, so your record of road status stays current and in one place. Once entered, the road conditions overlay plots those reports on the map, both on the dashboard and in the full screen situation view. So a dispatcher routing a unit can see at a glance that the usual road in is closed and pick another way. The map shows the obstacles, not just the destination. And there is a shortcut on the dashboard, a Roads button. Click it and the map focuses on the road conditions, bringing those reports front and center so you do not have to hunt for them in the layer control. One click, and you are looking at every road problem you have logged. Now we untangle a word that confuses almost everyone: hazards. In TicketsCAD, hazards show up in 3 completely different forms in 3 different parts of the system. They are not one feature wearing 3 hats, they are 3 separate things that happen to share a word. Let us separate them clearly. Thing 1, the hazards map layer. When you see a layer called hazards in the map's layer control, that is simply a pre-seeded markup category, exactly the kind of category we drew in earlier. It is a place to draw hazard shapes, gas leaks, flood zones, hot zones, and toggle them as a group. It is a markup category, nothing more exotic than that. Thing 2, warn locations. This is not a map layer at all. A warn location is a pinned spot with a danger note, and when you open a new incident near it, TicketsCAD pops a warning banner on the new incident screen telling the dispatcher there is a known hazard nearby. It warns you as you create the call, not as a shape on the map. We will set these up in the next scene. And thing 3, Hazmat. That is an incident type, a category of call, like a structure fire or a medical. It is not a map layer and not a warn location, it is what kind of incident you are dispatching. So remember the 3, a hazards map layer is drawn markups, a warn location is a proximity banner, and hazmat is an incident type. 3 different tools, 1 overloaded word. That brings us to alerts, the map features that actively warn you instead of waiting to be looked at. There are 2, and they work very differently. Warn locations alert a dispatcher creating a call. Geofences alert you when a unit crosses a boundary. Let us configure both. Warn locations live under Config, Alert Zones on the Warn Locations tab. Open it and you get an editor for the places you want dispatchers warned about. These are the addresses with a story, the house with the aggressive dog, the address with a known weapons history, the chemical storage shed. Each one is a pin with a hazard note, captured ahead of time so it is there when a call comes in nearby. For each warn location you drop a pin, set a hazard category, and, this is new and important, set a radius. The radius defines how close a new incident has to be before the warning fires. And that radius is no longer just a label on the record, it now actually drives the alert. A bigger radius warns over a wider area, a tight radius warns only right at the spot. So set it to match how far the hazard really reaches. Here is the payoff in action. A dispatcher opens a new incident, and the address geocodes near one of your warn locations, inside its radius. A red banner appears on the new incident screen, naming the hazard. The dispatcher is warned before the unit ever rolls. That is a warn location doing its job, protecting your responders with knowledge you captured ahead of time. The second alert tool is geofencing, on the geofencing tab under Alert Zones. A geofence is a boundary you draw, and TicketsCAD watches for your units crossing it. Think of a restricted area you want flagged when a unit enters, or a perimeter you want flagged when a unit leaves. The map keeps watch so you do not have to. Drawing a geofence is just like a markup. You can draw a polygon for an irregular boundary or a circle for a simple radius. Sketch the area you care about and give it a name. That shape becomes the tripwire TicketsCAD watches against every unit's position. Once the polygon is drawn, the editor gives you full control over its shape through the handles you see on it. Each corner gets a blue vertex handle, drag one to move that point. Each edge gets a gray midpoint handle, drag it to insert a brand new vertex and bend the boundary. And right-clicking a vertex deletes it. So you can trace a coastline or a property line precisely, not just rough it in. Now what happens when a unit actually crosses a geofence? TicketsCAD fires a real-time alert 3 ways at once. A live update pushes to your screen, the same instant push that powers the rest of the dashboard. An audible tone sounds, and an entry drops into the notification tray, that bell icon in the navigation bar. You will see it, hear it, and have a record of it. One caveat to set expectations. Geofences are not drawn on the live dispatch map. You see and edit the boundary here in Settings, and you get the alert when the unit crosses, but the geofence shape itself does not appear as an overlay on the dashboard map. It works behind the scenes. If you want a visible boundary on the map, draw a markup. If you want a unit crossing alert, use a geofence. Last topic, and it is the one that surprises people, so stay with me. How the map decides where to zoom. The dashboard map and the big situation, or wall, display behave differently on purpose, and knowing the difference saves a lot of confusion. When the dashboard map first loads, it does one helpful thing. It fits the view to show all of your current incidents and units at once. So, you open the dashboard and immediately see the whole picture, everything framed. That happens one time, on load. And here is the gotcha. After that initial fit, the dashboard map respects you. If you pan or zoom in to study one corner of town, it stays there. A new incident coming in will not yank the map away to recenter on it. That is deliberate. Nothing is more frustrating than the map jumping just as you are reading an address. The dashboard holds your view. When you do want to focus, you tell it to. Click an incident or a unit, and the map zooms in tight on that one to about zoom level 15, street level. So focusing is an action you take, by clicking, not something the map does to you uninvited. You are in control of where it looks. The big situation, or wall, display is the opposite, and that is also on purpose. It refits to show all incidents on every single update. A wall display has no one driving it, so it should always show everything, automatically reframing as incidents come and go. So, the dashboard holds your manual view, the wall always shows the whole picture. Pick the right screen for the job, and the zoom behavior makes sense. Let us recap everything the map can do. Base layers, 3 on the dashboard, more on detail pages, and you add your own under-tile providers with a live preview and a refresh preview button, remembering that Bing-style quad key sources are not supported. The default location and zoom you set once in map settings, a global home position for everyone. Weather overlays need an open weather map key, but NEXRAD radar is always free. Markups you draw in settings, organized into toggleable categories, and you can export to GeoJSON, KML, or GPX, and import GeoJSON, KML, or KMZ, remembering GPX is export only and circles survive cleanly only through GeoJSON. Records carry their coordinates through CSV import and export, but import never geocode, so the lat long must already be there. And the new road conditions overlay plots closures with a roads button to jump straight to them. And remember the tricky ones. Hazards are 3 different things: a markup category, a warn location banner, and an incident type. Alerts come in 2 flavors: warn locations that banner a nearby new incident, now driven by a real radius, and geofences that fire a live alert, a tone, and a tray entry when a unit crosses, though the fence itself stays off the live map. Finally, the dashboard holds your view while the wall always reframes to all. That is the whole map. Now, go configure it for your agency.